Fresh meat.
So I'm a glasses half full kind of guy, and I think it's fair to say that Lance is too. The two of us have defended a bunch of movies that are seen as bad or just hated on. Maybe they were just ahead of their time or released at the wrong time, who knows? The point is, yes, of course there are bad movies. And of course some of the movies that we have defended here maybe have less merit than some of the heavy hitters.
I hated this movie.
I will die on the hill that 98% of movies have something to look at that is worth your time, and sometimes they can be hidden gems to a subgenre, or actor, or director. Let's look deeper. Even the masters of horror have put out movies that are, let's say, less than perfect. John Carpenter has things like Halloween and The Thing that loom large over Ghosts of Mars or Memoirs of an Invisible Man. For every Night of the Living Dead, you also get Survival of the Dead. Wes Craven gave us A Nightmare on Elm Street while also putting us through My Soul to Take. Maybe you thought I was going to say Hills Have Eyes 2, but oh no. I'm going to defend that silly film one day too.
You missed me.
Today's entry is no different with the late, great Larry Cohen. He gave us The Stuff and It's Alive, but also put out Wicked Stepmother in today's entry, A Return to Salem's Lot. Larry Cohen was a pretty prolific writer and director who could do multiple genres. While he's arguably best known for his horror output, he was an adept thriller artist. Think of a De Palma light, and he got his start in exploitation movies. First with Bone in 1972, and then he followed that up the very next year with the explosive combo of Black Caesar and Hell Up in Harlem. Cohen would shift to do a lot more horror movies, often with a generous sprinkling of social commentary, before landing on the opportunity to direct A Return to Salem's Lot in 1987. I want to thank you guys for watching The Black Sheep, and ask if you enjoy our shows, please subscribe to our channel right now. Like this video and click the bell so you can get notified each time a new video goes up. And now, back to the show. The movie opens with a tribal ritual being watched over by an anthropologist and his cameraman, and the anthropologist's terrible hairpiece. They watch as one of the members' hearts is taken out before the local authorities come to find him and let him know his wife, or, his ex-wife, has been trying to reach him all day. Her and her new husband needed Joe, the anthropologist, to come home to take care of their son. The son, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, is one of the worst parts of the movie.
Didn't they just tell you? I'm fucked up.
His attitude, the way he dresses, how he talks, just grating. Almost makes you root against him, honestly.
Fuck you!
The estranged pair decide to head to a small town that Joe used to visit with a house that was left to him by his aunt. The town used to be known as Jerusalem's Lot and is now shortened to just Salem's Lot. And yes, this is tangentially related to Stephen King. Kind of. King would make a sequel, or rather prequel, to his mega successful Salem's Lot, but it was in the form of a short story in the Night Shift collection. This is a sequel of sorts that is more based off the town and maybe some of the characters of the King novel. The interesting part here is that Larry Cohen had originally written the script for the adaptation of Salem's Lot that would eventually get rejected for a script by Paul Monish to be turned into a miniseries directed by Tobe Hooper. After a bunch of successful movies in a row, though, Warner would come calling to Cohen to make a movie, and he would pitch the sequel to the movie he never got to make. Joe and his son Jeremy get absolutely no love from the town, including the police and local businesses, but they decide to settle in and stay anyway. On the first night there, a van full of punk rock teenagers that was just 2 stops from getting killed at Crystal Lake is pulled over by the sheriff and rewarded for their rude attitudes with swift deaths. This town does not like strangers. Oh, and they're vampires. Almost immediately after, we get a couple extras from Street Trash fighting over the last bottle of Viper, when they too are killed, but this time it's by the children of the town. Cohen upping the body count while also showing that nobody here is messing around. Joe and his son take one of the survivors they run into over to the judge, who runs the town, and Joe soon finds out about the town's secret. It's an interesting take 20 minutes into the movie to let the cat out of the bag, but it also gives the main character an interesting moral choice to make. The main character, Joe, is played by Michael Moriarty. Moriarty was a Cohen regular, who was ostensibly the hero in both Q the Winged Serpent and The Stuff, even though he's kind of an SOB in both films. Here he's much more subdued, being a loving father who is conflicted by a lost love and a town that he thought he knew. His match in this movie is the judge, played by Andrew Dugan. Dugan plays his part as a rational man who just wants what's best for his people and is at times smug, caring, cruel, and evil. They've built their own little society,
Vampires!
and try as hard as they can to not feed off humans, instead choosing to feed off cows more than anything, with Cohen using the recent AIDS crisis as an ahead-of-its-time plot point for why the vampires try not to eat humans. Joe gets a tour of the neighborhood and is even shown his thought-long-dead aunt alive, well, undead, and happy in the town. It was his happiest memories in life, and he's even propositioned to write a text for the town with his advanced knowledge of other civilizations. In addition to this, he's tempted by the appearance of his first love, still looking like she did when he used to visit. Even after learning everything in that first and second night, Joe stays and continues to work on the house, finding out that they have human drones that are used as daytime security. The second night, they are able to stop a passerby from going into the town, even though he's looking for someone and it sounds very important. I had no idea, and I'd be shocked if anyone else did, but this man, Van Meer, a not-so-clever take on the famous vampire hunter Van Helsing, is played by unconventional director and World War II veteran Samuel Fuller. Van Meer appears to leave, and soon Jeremy decides to become a vampire, as he is fully drinking this blood-flavored Kool-Aid.
You want an aspirin?
Joe decides it's time to leave, but is stopped by a couple of drones, even killing one before being knocked out. The judge is quickly growing tired of Joe's shenanigans and shows him that he had impregnated his girlfriend in the hopes of keeping him there forever. He also makes a deal about his son Jeremy and keeps him hostage.
Now you give me my son now.
Van Meer gets confirmation that the man he's looking for is in Salem's lot, and Joe invites him back to the house only to find out that he's a Nazi hunter.
A Nazi?
Yeah.
In Salem's lot?
Yep.
It's an out-of-nowhere addition that gives the vampires even less humanity than they already had with this allegory. It turns out that it was a trick to kill off a stranger and get some human blood in the process. Jeremy temporarily goes back to his rude ways before Samuel Fuller does what we all want to do and knocks some sense into the boy. They plan to take out all the vampires and make a base out of the church, but not before Van Ness nonchalantly shoots one of the bloodsuckers off his windshield. This guy's cool as hell. A bus comes through town, something that really isn't explained that much, and the judge loses his cool and has all the people killed and eaten, finally turning Jeremy completely away from wanting to join their ranks. They do as all amateur vampire hunters do and make some homemade steaks. The final leg of the movie is them trying to find all the vampires before nightfall. When they stake them in their human forms in their coffins, a cheap makeup effect wiggles around, but I'll be damned if that didn't make me jump. They kill the rest of the drones before Jeremy gets a callback to the first film with his betrothed vampire classmate calling him while floating out of a window. Joe can't bring himself to kill his vampire bride, so Van Meer volunteers to do it for him. He gets caught in a bear trap on the way down to the basement in one of the coolest parts of the film, and Joe saves him by throwing holy water on the duo, which results in the coolest special effect the film has to offer. With only one place left to go, the pair head to the schoolhouse and blow up much of the town on their way. Trapped by the judge and his flock, Van Meer shows no fear and shoots the judge before he can stake Jeremy, and then ultimately chooses to shoot himself rather than to become a vampire.
You'll never make a bloodsucker out of me, you bastard!
Joe tells the vampires that it's too late and their coffins are already gone. Huh, I had no idea Mike Flanagan was a fan of this. And Joe escapes with Jeremy and burns his undead wife with more holy water. The final stretch is a mixed bag with some really cool visuals marred by some unabashedly terrible ones. A girl is supposed to be laying in her coffin on fire, but is clearly just sitting next to it, followed by Joe angrily staking the ground instead of a vampire. The final confrontation takes place in a barn between the father and son combination against a villain from an Ed Wood movie. I mean, seriously, look at this guy. This is definitely something that stuck with me when I was a kid, but absolutely doesn't hold up later in life. The judge is killed by Jeremy wielding an American flag, and the pair is picked up by a very much alive Van Meer as they ride off into the sunrise. Look, A Return to Salem's Lot has a lot of problems. Its pacing is way off, the effects run the gamut from cool looking to groan inducing, and parts of the story just don't make sense. But it has a ton of heart, some good performances, and even some plot points that would be used in future vampire lore. Cohen wrote the story that he wanted to with elements from his original script, and even put one of his messages in the movie, this time about American consumerism. At the end of the day, Cohen is a black sheep kind of guy, a guy that found the good in a bad situation. So it's up to us to find the good in a not-so-great movie. It's not the best Larry Cohen film, not by a long shot, but it is a Cohen film through and through, and well, that's good enough for me.
Didn't they just tell you? I'm fucked up.